Welcome to Full-Time Yoga Teacher Podcast. My name is Reika and I am your host. If you are a new listener, I want to say welcome to Full-Time Yoga Teacher Podcast. And if you are a returning listener, I want to say thank you for coming back. It means a lot to me. It feels like it's been a while since I have checked in. I went to travel to Japan and Thailand for about 3 weeks. And I pre-recorded all the podcast episodes and intros and outros before I left to Japan. So I had my episodes scheduled that was being released. So even though the podcast has been releasing weekly, I feel like I haven't been able to check in with all the listeners lately. So I just want to say that I just came back from my trip to Japan and Thailand. Japan is where I'm from. And I speak Japanese, but last time I actually went back to visit was 2018. So it's been a while. So I've been wanting to go back and experience it again in a slightly different eyes and perspectives and point of views. Since I am Japanese, I'm from Japan, but I haven't lived there in a while. I speak the language, but I don't look Japanese. I'm half Japanese. So I always had a really mixed feelings and also memories of living in Japan and revisiting Japan. And this time I really went with open eyes and curiosity and really wanting to learn more about my roots and the culture and the spirituality. And I did the 6-day pilgrimage trail in Japan called Kumano-Kodo. And it's one of the UNESCO heritage sites. And it is a sister pilgrimage trail to Camino del Santiago in Spain. They're both UNESCO heritage sites. This is a trail I found out that it even existed a couple years ago during COVID time. And ever since learning about this trail, I knew I wanted to hike it. So it took a couple of years of planning and figuring it out, but finally made this trip come to reality. And I did this trip with my best friend, and it was really, really fun and a spiritual journey for sure. Maybe that's how pilgrimage trails are meant to be, but it had a profound effect on me, and I really enjoyed walking every day in nature, having the goal to go from point A to point B, and every day that's just your only goal is to get from A to B, besides making sure you're eating and drinking water and making sure you're getting enough rest and sleep. So that was really cool for me. And I've been fascinated with people who do long backpacking trip like PCT trail or, any kind of long backpacking trip. And I feel like I got to experience like a glimpse of those experiences, and I can kind of see how and why people really get into that, and also how much you must grow from that experience personally, but maybe even spiritually. And also, how do you come back to real life afterwards and trying to implement what you learned on the trail? And even though my trip was only 6 days long, I can imagine people who do this kind of trip for a month or a couple of months, several months, and then come back to real life must be a big transition. So I'm feeling all of that right now. Really loved the trail and experience I had. I actually wrote a long blog post about my pilgrimage trail experience just because I wanted to have a record somewhere so I don't forget it myself, but also I wanted to offer resources and information for anybody who want to do that trail that I walked. So anyway, maybe I'll put the link to the blog post on the show notes if you are interested in those kind of hiking trail and want to hike that trail in the future in Japan. But now I feel like I want to do more overnight hiking trails, like week-long or even longer, or more pilgrimage trails all over the world, because they do exist all over the world. And I do love that hiking with a underlining purpose of spirituality infused in that, and also being immersed in nature. All of it combined was such a wonderful experience. And then I went to Thailand to visit my dad. He lives in Thailand and he is 75 years old. He's very healthy, but he is getting older. So it was important for me to spend quality time with my dad, and it was really fun. We went to northern Thailand, Chiang Mai, and then to a smaller mountain town called Pai. And he's been there many times, my dad. So he got to show me around, and we rented a scooter and rode it around and really enjoyed scootering around this cute little town in the mountains. So that was really fun for me. Now I'm back to regular teaching schedule and slowly easing back to my life in California as a yoga teacher. One thing I thought that was interesting was this was the first time I took this long of a break from teaching, because every time I travel, or even when I moved to Peru for 4 months, I continued to teach online for my online yoga studio, as well as when I was in Peru, I was teaching teacher training. That's the reason why I moved to Peru. So it was interesting to take this much time off from teaching, because I knew my identity has been so intertwined with being a yoga teacher. I was a little bit interested to see how I would feel not to teach and not really be surrounded by yoga. Usually because when I travel, I am traveling because of yoga or training or teacher training or working in yoga. So this time completely stepping away from yoga teaching role as well as yoga student role, and just really immerse myself into these travels that I planned. So that was interesting for me to kind of step away from yoga teacher identity as well as, I guess, yoga student identity. Although I guess I am a yoga student every moment in this life with how I try to live my life. But that was interesting for me to kind of step away from that, and also stepping back into this role again feels good. And also, to be honest, a little bit confused coming back. I don't know if anybody can relate, but if you have any similar experiences like that, feel free to share your experience, send me a message on Instagram. My handle is @Reika Yoga, or you can always message me through my website on contact form. I'll be curious. I feel like last almost 10 years, I have been so immersed in yoga and teaching yoga, and everything I do to have something about being a yoga teacher and a student. And yeah, this trip, taking 3+ weeks off from yoga teaching, was probably needed, because even my identity being attached to being a yoga teacher is impermanent one. So anyway, a lot of deep thoughts coming from this experience, but I think that's what the travel can do to us, is kind of allow us some time to reflect and step away from our day-to-day life. So I also want to kind of get back to the program of the podcast. I have one announcement to make. The announcement is that I have a workshop coming up for yoga teachers, and AJ, who I have interviewed recently, who is a physical therapist and a yoga teacher, AJ is coming back to teach a workshop for yoga teachers or any movement facilitator, and I believe this workshop is also ideal for yoga student as well. The workshop is called Yoga Meets Physical Therapy, and we are learning about hypermobility in yoga. And a lot of yoga students as well as teachers are quite hypermobile, and how can we as a yoga teacher be of best service to students or maybe it's your own body who is hypermobile. So if you want to learn about hypermobility in yoga, whether you are a teacher or maybe a student, I would highly encourage this workshop. It's happening in November 8th, which is Saturday, 2 to 4 p.m. in person in Long Beach, but it will also be zoomed in for anybody who want to join a live stream. And it's sliding scale anywhere between $10 to $60. So financially, this workshop is accessible to many people. And you can gain 2 hours of continuing education credit towards Yoga Alliance if you join this workshop. So that's the exciting workshop that's coming up next. I'll put the link on the show notes to find out more about this workshop, as well as if you want to sign up and register. Otherwise, let's get started on today's interview. So I interviewed Debbie Livingston. And Debbie Livingston is a yoga teacher, also ultra runner, and coach, mother, and lifelong advocate for mindful movement. In this conversation, Debbie shares how she discovered yoga and trail running during her college time, and how both of these practices can beautifully coexist in her life as she continued to grow her business and her career in movement and fitness world, as well as becoming a mom. So I hope you enjoy this conversation I had with Debbie, and I will speak to you on the other side. Welcome, Debbie, to Full-Time Yoga Teacher Podcast. I'm so excited that I get to have this conversation with you. I want to just quickly say a little bit in the intro that I started researching other yoga teachers who is also a ultra runner a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month ago or so. And then you came up on my Google research, your website came up, and that's kind of how I reached out to you, because there just weren't that many that I could find. But so far on this podcast, I have interviewed, you're the third person that I interviewed who is a full-time yoga teacher and also ultra runner. And I know you're also a coach too, so I'm really excited to talk to you about this. So all that to say, please let the listeners know, where are you joining from and where are you originally from?
Well, thank you. Happy to be here. I am joining from Bolton, Connecticut, and I'm originally from Connecticut, but a smaller town south of here called Prospect. So I've actually been in Connecticut pretty much all my life, except for some time in college in Massachusetts, and then working at a hiking spa in Vermont for a few years.
Oh, amazing. What's so interesting is all three, including you, the other ultra runner / yoga teacher I interviewed, are all from East Coast. And I live in California, so
Okay.
it's so interesting. I haven't found anybody in the West Coast yet. I'm
Yeah,
sure they exist.
I was going to say it's quite interesting. I found yoga in college,
Uh-huh.
and I also found trail running and ultra distance trail running right about the same time.
Oh, really?
So both of those things that I love to do
Mhm.
came into my life at the same time, and they've gone hand in hand the entire 25 plus years.
Amazing. Okay, I want to hear that story. So how
Mhm.
did you first get into yoga? And then also I want to hear that with your trail running as well, since it started around the same time.
Yeah. So in college, I went to a small school called Springfield College, and it's very fitness oriented. 'Cause I love learning about the body. So that was my plan, to go to college to learn
Mhm.
fitness and health.
Mhm.
And I always thought that, well, if I didn't even use that as a profession, I would have that for my family, that I would eventually have for myself. So it would be knowledge that wouldn't go to waste.
Mhm.
One of the classes that we needed to take was jogging 101 or something to that
Mhm.
effect. And I was like, well, I
Yeah.
already know how to run. I've been running for a long time. So I asked them if I could substitute yoga
Uh-huh.
at that time. So that was probably like 1994, 5.
Uh-huh.
Yoga wasn't a class that they offered at the school. So I found a yoga studio in the town over, and I rode my bicycle to the yoga studio. Well, they allowed me to use that as a substitute, and I rode my
Mhm.
bicycle to the yoga studio and took classes there, and just fell in love with it. So I started practicing it more on my own. But then when college ended and I needed to do an internship,
Uh-huh.
I picked a hiking spa to do the internship at in
Uh-huh.
Vermont at Killington, and it was called New Life Hiking Spa, and the afternoon was filled with classes. The
Uh-huh.
classes were yoga, water fitness, strength training, and I was certified to teach 2 out of the 3 of those. Yoga was not a certification for me at that time, but
Mhm.
I thought that was a great way to really get to teaching it,
Mhm.
because at a hiking spa, the clientele are always changing up. So I could just focus on teaching the same class over and over again, but they would never know because it was somebody different every day.
Yeah, yeah.
So I didn't have to worry about creating all these different lesson plans but I could perfect as best as I could, could really without worry practice teaching the yoga class and not worry whether it was too mundane, the same thing over and over again. So that's really where I got started and that worked out great for me.
I have never heard of hiking spa. What is that?
So at a hiking spa, actually the real backbone of this place was for people to come to lose weight.
Mm,
And the way to do it was through hiking all morning, eating 3 healthy meals, and then doing fitness classes all afternoon. But there was also massage, and then there was programming in the evening,
yeah.
teaching the clients health,
Mhm.
mental aspects, and various things like that.
Yeah.
So I was great because I loved the outdoors.
Yeah.
Enjoyed teaching yoga and the fitness classes, and I loved healthy eating. So it was a wonderful place to do my internship. But that's also where I got into trail running because there was an uphill race up Killington that I was like, oh, I could do that. So I jumped in the race, and
Uh-huh.
it was all uphill, straight to the peak.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that was the most amazing thing, and I loved it. And then I heard about the Vermont 50,
Uh-huh.
which is an ultra distance trail running race which, believe it or not, is actually happening this weekend.
Oh.
And, I'm going up to it because 'cause I'm now the kids race director there.
Oh,
And
amazing.
so in 1999,
Uh-huh.
I entered the Vermont 50, uh, race, and it
Uh-huh.
was my first 50 miler. I went straight from running a few road marathons, jumped into the 50-mile trail race.
Wow.
And I remember crossing the line and just getting overwhelmed with emotion because it was just so amazing to be able
Yeah.
to go through that and complete something like that. But then I couldn't lift my legs in order to drive my car home because I had a stick shift. So a friend of mine had to drive for me. But I've been back there every year since, except for 1 year,
Uh-huh.
where I did a race in Japan, 100-mile race, and it happened to be the same weekend. So and then in that race in 1999, I also met my husband there. And he was there to mountain bike the 50-mile race, and I was there to run it. It's both a mountain bike race and a trail running race at the same time. So
Mm.
pretty pretty crazy, but now, and since then I've done over 100 ultras on
Uh-huh.
trail. And now I have a partner in crime,
Uh-huh.
and we've been married for over 20 years, and now we have 2 kids that do trail running as well.
That's so amazing. Wow, I have so much questions. So, first, have you always been active? Like you growing up, were you always kind of raised outdoors and being super active? Did you play sports growing up? How did that part of you develop?
Yes, I grew up on 5 acres of land that abutted my grandfather's property and water company property. So when I was a young kid, I was always out in the woods. Just
Mhm.
my brothers and I were always climbing trees, out running in the woods. I just felt most comfortable there.
Mhm.
But also, my mom was always kicking us out because she ran the business in our home and
Mm.
she didn't want us around to mess up the calls and
Mhm.
be the noise behind the phone calls that she was getting.
Mhm.
So I think that's really where it started, but I also love sports. I played
Mhm.
soccer from 2nd grade all the way through college.
Mhm.
And I also ran track in high school. Ran cross country in middle school. So
Mhm.
yeah, I was the sporty one in the family. I have an older brother and a younger brother. My older brother that wouldn't even touch sports. He was very into cars. My younger
Mm.
brother was like a combination of the 2 of us. So he's dabbled in a lot of sports, but he also is really good mechanically.
Mhm.
And my parents, my mom, she encouraged it. She loved that I played sports, and she was always there for me. And it's yeah, it's so I guess, in one way, it was just because of nature was all around us that I
Yeah.
got so into the health and fitness, but I'm very fascinated with the body
Mhm.
and how it works, how it feels, and I love reading and listening to books, reading books and listening to podcasts all about fitness, and I just can't get enough of it.
Uh-huh.
And
And
then
what
I love to
mhm.
teach people about it now.
Yeah. What did you study in college that was, that led you to that internship?
Yeah, uh going back one step, in high school, my favorite class was physical education.
Mm,
So my PE teacher recommended Springfield College, which is a school, based all on fitness, and
mhm.
most PE teachers came out of that school.
Okay.
Um, it's it's diversified quite a bit now, but
Mhm.
at that time, that was if you were a PE teacher, that was where you wanted if you wanted to be a PE teacher, that was where
Uh-huh.
you should go.
Ah.
I didn't really wanna work in the school system per se, but I wanted
Mhm.
to learn about health and fitness. So my degree was in health and fitness
Okay.
with a minor in business, and then I was able to get a master's degree at, University of Connecticut, with, a master's degree in fitness management.
Mm.
And so from there, I started working at a private fitness center,
Mhm.
uh, teaching about, 15 classes a week
Wow.
from water fitness, older adult strength training,
Mhm.
Pilates, yoga, and then
Mhm.
and then training people on the floor with weights for another 10 to 15 hours a week. All while I was training to run and compete.
Wow.
It was a lot.
Yeah, so did that schooling provided you to be like knowledge and experience you needed to become a group fitness instructor, or is that like all separately you have to go get like Pilates certification and, aqua, like is this something all separately you had to do, or was it kind of part of your program?
So yes, it ended up being all separate. The program
Mhm.
was more focused on how to work in a corporate fitness center or how to work in a private fitness center and so forth. So I had to seek out and get separate certifications to teach aerobics and to teach water fitness and to teach
Mhm.
Pilates and to personal train. Those are all separate, but that's what I loved, and so
Uh-huh.
that that thirst for knowledge
Yeah.
was there, so I was seeking out those things, and I did get my yoga certification about 3 or 4 years after I started teaching yoga
Uh-huh.
from Kripalu Yoga Center in Lenox, Massachusetts,
Yeah.
and I did the month-long intensive there, which
Yeah.
was phenomenal. It was just an amazing, amazing experience, and I
Yeah.
did that before kids because that would be very, very hard after, so I was fortunate to be able to my husband, supported me in that
Mhm.
and we made that happen, and that's been my foundation, and that's been my style of yoga
Yeah.
since then. It's more of the yoga of compassion. The
Uh-huh.
way I look at it is that my trail running and my endurance sports are just so muscle tightening and intense and stressful that I like to teach my yoga as de-stressing,
Mhm.
more gentle,
Mhm.
more listen to your body and do what works best for you style of yoga. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many out there, and that's what when I teach, I always love telling others that if you don't like my style of yoga, this isn't the only yoga there is. There's
Yeah.
so much more out there, and
Mhm.
everyone has a different preference as to what they need.
Mhm.
And I just found that the more slow moving, the focus, like holding poses a little bit longer, being really diligent about listening to your body is more my style.
Yeah, that makes sense with, like, how you do a lot of running and other kind of activity that the yoga kinda complements
Yes.
that by more of a resting or
Yeah. It's
slower,
a
gentle move.
balance. Yeah, you need that balance. If my yoga was intense too, I mean, that would just be too much intensity in my life.
I'm curious about your Kripalu experience, like, what made you decide that program, that, teacher training? How was it? Was it multiple teachers? I wanna hear a little bit more
So,
about Kripalu.
sounds like you've heard of Kripalu? Yeah, yeah. So, it's very close to my home. It's the yoga studio that I had my first yoga experience
Mhm,
at next to the college I was going to was
mhm.
Kripalu based.
Ah,
So the instructors there, the owner of the studio, the instructor, they were from Kripalu.
mhm.
So I think the basis of that and how what I learned, it just made it that I would that's what I was attracted to,
Mhm.
and so that's why I ended up there.
Mhm.
Like I said, it was also there's a convenience there as well because it's only an hour and a half from my home in Connecticut.
And I would love to know like your journey of different career path. It sounds like you managed a private fitness studio or some kind of gym after your master's program on a fitness management degree. And then like, and what other jobs and career have you had, and what is it that you do now? And it seems like you have multiple streams of income doing many little things. So I would love to hear that.
So I think initially, in the way beginning, I really wanted to do work for myself. So that was really important to me. But I found a so I'm going to go back a little bit farther. I found I after I left Killington and the hiking spa, I came back home and I started to work at a fitness center that was for women.
Mm-hmm.
And but it wasn't a good fit for me.
Mm.
They wanted me to sell myself there. So I'd
Mm.
work the floor. I'd
Mhm.
help others that were coming in, but they weren't paying me until
Mm.
I brought them in as a client. And I
Mm.
lasted like 2 weeks there and I said, "This is not what I wanna do. This isn't for me." So I
Mhm.
went back up to Killington and I taught snowboarding for the winter instead.
Mhm.
But then I was asked to come back to Yukon to do the, master's degree and work at a corporate fitness center while
Mhm.
I was getting the master's degree. So essentially I got paid to work there and get a master's degree at UConn at the same time.
Mhm.
So that's when I started really enjoying working at a fitness center
Yeah.
because I was getting paid to help people, and
Yeah.
that's what I really wanted to do,
Mhm.
and to inspire others. So I
Mhm.
taught some fitness classes there. I worked the floor. I did incentive programs, and then after I graduated from UConn, I found a job at a facility, a private facility called Courthouse Plus because it had racquetball courts in it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the owner was just amazing. It was
Mhm.
like Disney World in there. There was meetings every month. There was incentives. They were wonderful.
Uh-huh.
I really enjoyed working there, and I still work in that same building,
Yeah.
but things have changed immensely now. They don't I only teach a couple hours a week, only yoga there now. But at one point, as I said, I was teaching 15 classes a week. They had a pool. I was teaching, water. I loved working with older adults.
Mhm.
I loved training people on the floor, and then we opened a Pilates studio in there for a little while,
Mhm.
and that was a lot of fun. But family comes along, so I had my son, who's now
Mhm.
19, in
Mhm.
2000,
Mhm.
and what was great is being at a fitness center that has a childcare is that
Mm.
I could just bring him and he would stay for a few hours in the childcare while I taught classes and worked with
Yeah.
clients. And very convenient because for me, it's important that I raised my kids. I wanted to be their primary caregiver.
Yeah.
And then my husband supported me in that. That's,
Mhm.
I think, what's so great about teaching yoga or,
Mhm.
it being in the fitness realm is that you can piecemeal work together.
Mhm.
So then I was also training out of my house. So I'd
Mhm.
have a few clients that would come to my home studio and they would train here while my
Mhm.
son was playing with his toys in the corner.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah.
and then I had my daughter in 2009 and then I pulled back a little bit more from fitness, teaching
Mhm.
fitness but working a little bit more on my own.
Mhm.
And now at this point, so with this point where I'm at, I teach a couple hours a week of yoga at
Mhm.
the gym. I've completely cut out training of people one-on-one about 8 years ago in a studio in person. But about 8 years ago, I started working with athletes, running athletes to
Mhm.
train for races. And I do
Mm.
that all virtually,
Mhm.
and I love, love, love doing that.
Mhm.
And about the same time, 7, 8 years ago, I started coaching middle school cross country.
Mm.
So I that's through the town.
Mhm.
And then I also have my own run club, I call it, for 9 to 14-year-olds that
Yeah.
I do in the spring, 4 weeks at a time, and that's my own business. So it's like it's this conglomeration of, some
Yeah.
of my own stuff, working for town municipality, working for private, and what's so nice about that is that you make it work as you I work when I wanna work.
Mhm.
So, and then I'm there for my family when
Mhm.
they need me, and I get to help others on all different ages because I love all different ages. It's
Mhm.
not just one group. that I enjoy working with. So yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Amazing. It seems, I mean, like it's so similar to, I know you do way a lot more than just yoga teaching, but
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of yoga teachers that I get to interview are also like doing this and that and this and this
Yeah.
and there's all these little things that, having their own business, but also working for a studio or gyms and private clients. So
Mhm.
I feel like that's kind of how it is with the people in this industry. But at the same time, like you said, it's so beautiful because you get to kind of make the schedule that fits your life.
Right.
So I have a couple questions about. First I want to ask about, because you've taught so many different type of classes, different modalities throughout your career. I'm curious to hear about, like, is there some that you really loved and felt so passionate, or maybe like it fueled your energy to teach this kind of class? And maybe you also have done maybe something that is like, oh, I've done it and it's not for me. It doesn't really, maybe it drains me to teach this kind of class. Or it could be a format too, like one-on-one versus a group class. So can you tell me like what in your life that you have taught that you really love, that like I want to keep teaching this kind of classes, this modalities, and certain things you tried that you're like, okay, I think I'm okay not teaching that anymore.
Yes, good question. So I would say that the reason why I'm still teaching yoga after 25 years is because that's the one that feeds me. And the yoga teaches an all levels class. Because
Mhm.
I work at a private fitness center, I can get someone in class that's never done yoga before in their life, or
Mhm.
I could get someone in there that's been coming and seeing me for over 20 years.
Mhm.
And so I want to make sure that they all leave that class fulfilled.
Mhm.
And so what I love to be being able to teach to that is that I focus on what do I do? What do I say to make sure everyone walks out of there feeling like they got what they wanted out of it?
Mhm.
So I'm very cognizant of speaking precisely, giving cues verbally and physically,
Mhm.
and and also making sure the class flows in a way that people can comprehend and understand, but also give them permission
Mhm.
to modify any pose as needed,
Mhm.
or come into a variation or hold the pose a little longer as needed.
Yeah.
So I just feel like that I can go into a class now and just I could teach with my eyes closed in essence, because it
Mhm.
just comes out of me now. I don't even have to think. And
Mhm.
that's what I really love about it. But I always felt like it was just part of me. It just flowed out of me. So yoga, 11th class yoga, I would say is definitely on the top of that list.
Mhm.
For classes that kind of drain me and make me have to like work a little too hard, or think too much, or are exhausting, I would have to say the water fitness classes. And because it's just so hot in that room,
Oh, yeah.
and you we would teach on I would teach it on the edge,
Yeah.
because you can't really teach water fitness class in the water because no one can see you.
Mhm.
So you're up on the cement pounding away and
Mhm.
in 90 something degree temperature. And you're trying to make sure, like, you're showing movements, but you
Uh-huh.
don't have the resistance of the water.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just really, and then you don't have the buoyancy of the water. So it's just a really challenging class.
Yeah.
It was fun while it lasted, and I loved my crew that I was teaching, but
Yeah.
I'd leave there very exhausted, and
Yeah.
mentally and physically.
I have never taken a water fitness class, so
Yeah.
I'm actually very curious what it's like. I've never actually even seen how teacher teaches it, so I'm just trying to imagine it in my head. Another question I have, or I wanted to talk about, was you also coach running.
Mhm.
So how did that part of business come along? Like, I don't know too much about it. So is there like specific training or certification that you go through to become a running coach? And what kind of capacity do you help runners? You create program? Do you do check-ins once, like every week? Like, how does it work?
Yeah. So initially, how I kind of got involved with running and with run coaching is
Mhm.
that when I was in college, I believe it was in college, or towards the end of college, I decided I wanted to run a marathon. But I was like, okay, and I ran my first marathon, Hartford Marathon, in 1997, and I
Mhm.
qualified for Boston. So I'm like, okay, well, I might as well run Boston now.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, well, there's something. I'd like to help people in this now. So what I decided to do was to run a marathon for a charity. I ran it was either Team Diabetes or Arthritis Foundation, and I can't remember which one I started with, because what I ended up doing is after I did one charity run as one of the athletes, I became the coach. So I started coaching other runners on a volunteer basis to train for a destination marathon, and I did that for a few years, and then I kind of pulled back from that because it took a lot of time and energy, and it was a volunteer work. And then at that time, I was also getting very competitive myself, so I hired a coach for me. And the coach I hired was amazing. Al was his name. And we worked together for 8 years, and I learned a lot from him. He was a really special mentor for me.
Yeah.
And through that, we discussed, well, what if you started coaching, Deb? He was like asking me questions like that because he saw the potential in me. So I absorbed as much as I could from him. And then I started asking a few friends if they were willing to have me coach them for free. And so I could learn how to just get better at it. And then they'd give me feedback. And then people just started asking me if I would coach them, and they're mostly friends. So right now, all my coaching is all by word of mouth. As you saw, you found my website. I think that also helps a lot because the last few clients and athletes I've brought on, they just Googled New England trail running coach, I don't know, mom or something like that,
Yeah.
and I would pop up first on the list. So I'm like, okay, I guess my website works really well because I
Yeah.
don't do a lot of work on that as much as I should. I'm not the best with technology. I like to I'm a doer rather than
Yeah.
I don't post a lot. And so, and I don't even advertise at all. And then, so that's just through people telling others, I've worked with Deb, you should work with her. So, most of my athletes are ultra runners, someone looking to run an ultra. Most of them are moms or women in their 40 and up. But I would say they're not all. And I do have a few that are focused on half marathon distance or 5K. I have uh, and I have a few males. I do have a few males on the roster. I like to keep my roster very small. I don't like to have over 10. Usually 8, 5 to 8 is really my sweet spot because I'm very focused on them, and they're in touch with me whenever they want. So they send me a text. I'll get back to them as soon as I can. So all my plans are written on Training Peaks, which is an app that we're connected together on. And I write the plans, and it's running, but it's also, there's mobility and yoga in there. There's strength training if they want it. Some of them choose to strength train on their own and create their own plan, and that's fine. And so and then they provide feedback to me, and I provide feedback to them. So it's a constant back and forth. And then every once in a while, maybe about once a month, or depending on their races, we'll jump on a Zoom call and talk through the prep for the race, leading into a race. So that's pretty much how that works right now. Although I did have someone contact me recently, and he said, I'm writing my own plan. I just want someone to bounce ideas off of. I'm like, okay, well, let's give that a try. So as more of as a consultant, because I've been doing ultras and trail running for 25 years, and I've all different distances. I mean, I know most of these races that people are aiming for. I've done them, so I know what it's like out there.
Yeah.
So it's fun, and I can talk running and yoga all day long. So I don't.
Amazing. I was just going to ask you whether yoga or, mobility, because, everybody's slightly different on what they're willing to do more, but was part of it. So I love that you incorporate that in there.
Well, I'll tell you what's actually kind of a little funny about that is that depending on the athlete, I will actually write it in as yoga, or I'll actually write it in as mobility. But really, they're the same thing. So it just depends on, where their head is and what the kind of person they are.
Yeah.
And then for some of them, I'll actually write specific movements, and others I'll just say, go take a yoga class, because they have that. they already have a place they go to, or they have a particular yoga person that they like to watch online and they follow. So I'm very flexible with that. Like things
Yeah.
don't have to be exactly this way or this way. It's like
Yeah.
work with the person where they're at and
Mhm.
what they're most comfortable with, so that this isn't something that's completely foreign to them and like kind of throws them off and like really takes them away from who they are and where they want to go. Just I want people to be happy and to for their running and their yoga and their strength training to just flow into their life
Yeah.
and be part of it and not be this like separate entity that's
Mhm.
scary or hard or too much.
So now I'm very curious about in your running life, running career, and also because you coach runners and you try to include yoga slash mobility into their program. Can you share a little bit about how they have like worked so well together in your life and also maybe what you have seen in your runners? And I don't know if there's even flip side of that, how maybe they contradict one another. Maybe they don't fit too well with one another. So I would love to hear about those connection between running and yoga.
So I'd say for me, it's why I've been virtually injury free. Over the past 25 years, I can count on one hand the little issues that I've had and nothing that's really taken me out for any longer than probably a few weeks. And I contribute that to the yoga practice
Mhm.
with all of the running I do.
Mhm.
I mean, people will show studies that say stretching doesn't do anything or can be detrimental. And it's like, well, yeah, but the thing of it is that yoga isn't just stretching,
Mm.
and it's the breath work, it's the mind body connection. Like I feel like I have a really strong connection to what's happening in my body, and
Yeah.
that's through yoga. So that's where it's been extremely beneficial, and
Mhm.
I really don't see any downside
Mhm.
to it, although I would say that I don't consider myself, a yogi fanatic.
Mhm.
My yoga is mostly the teaching aspect. I do incorporate yoga throughout my day, like, probably but not I don't, like, call, like, this I'm doing yoga right now, like, or I'm doing yoga right now, or I'm doing doing yoga. Like,
Mhm.
it's just the mindfulness that's just part of what everybody should be doing. It doesn't need to be called yoga so for my athletes or others I teach that once again, I think it's more like I give that to them as a balance. We
Mhm.
all should be a little bit more balanced in our lives. I like people to slow down. If they're especially if that's so they're doing all this running, they're doing this intensity. I want to give them something that gets them to stop a little bit,
Mhm.
to sit, breathe, slow down. So even if they don't incorporate and they don't love stretching or or stopping to sit and meditate or that's not really what it's about, and even if they can weave it in
Mhm.
little bits, because
Mhm.
most of the time when I do, program it, if they're not someone who, like, loves yoga and they wants to go to a yoga class, then I think a better thing is for them to just 5 or 10 minutes of some mobility work and just being conscientious of how their body feels as they're moving, as they're holding. And I don't see any downside to that. The
Mhm.
only thing that like I said, I could worry about is if I'm programming too much and they see it as a chore
Mhm.
and then it becomes something that they have to do instead of want to do.
Mhm.
And and then it's not because it's supposed to be enjoyable. It's supposed to be relaxing. It's supposed to be helping you get in better in touch with your body
Mm.
rather than trying to not be in it at the moment because you don't wanna be there.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's so beautifully said. Thank you. I love that. And I'm curious about your long running career. In the yoga world that I've been exposed to, a lot of yoga people will think like long distance running, like, oh, that's not good for your body, or that's not going to be great for your joints, or you're going to have all these issues later in life, which I used to believe But now that I'm actually starting really getting into running and, meeting more people who's been running like their almost their whole career, whole life, long distances, and that doesn't have to be the case. So, and then you have been in this world for so long, and you said you ran over 100 races. So I want to hear from you about those kind of stereotypes that exist.
Yeah, I believe it really depends on the person. I feel so I'm quite petite. I'm barely 5'2". I weigh just a little over 100 pounds. So when I'm running, I'm not putting a lot of force and a lot of pounding on my body. So I'm
Mm,
fortunate that way. So that may be one of my superpowers with the running is it's not overly taxing in that regard. But I don't put in 100+ mile weeks.
mhm,
Even when I'm getting ready for a 100-mile race, my heavy mileage 4 weeks out will probably be about 60, 65 miles for the week.
mhm,
I'm a huge proponent of cross training.
mhm,
So I do get on my bike quite often. I enjoy hiking as well. And I also wildly vary my workouts so that I'm not just running the same pace, the same
mm,
foot strike all the time. So I get myself in trails. I do hill repeats. I do tempo work. I do intervals. There's a lot of variety. I believe that's extremely important for good health.
yeah.
And And like I said, I've been doing this for over 25 years, no major injuries. You could always knock on wood with that. I
Mhm,
am over 50 now. I turned 50 in January. So
mhm,
yes, you start to feel things a little bit more and
mm,
your tendons and ligaments aren't as pliable as they used to be. So I had to have some ankle instability
mhm,
recently, but I'm still able to work through that and you
mhm,
just focus on uh balance a little bit more on the strength training has to increase. So there is change that does need to happen over your lifetime. But I also feel like the ultra running is where I really love to be out in the woods for long periods of time.
yeah,
That mentally for me is very rewarding.
yeah.
But I also know that you have to take some time off for periods of time. Like when I had my two kids, that those years I still kept trail running, but I didn't do ultras.
Mhm,
And that it's just
mhm,
to run long distance when I was pregnant with them, although I still did some trail races and I still have friends that comment that that was the only year that they were able to beat me in the trail races, which was quite funny. They do have some funny stories of my pregnant belly going by them. And it's just a matter of listening to your
yeah,
body. Don't push things to a point where you're overdoing it.
mm,
Back off for periods of time. Do other sports.
mhm,
Just vary the activity level and
mhm,
vary the type of activity. And I believe that's a good recipe for longevity. My
mm,
biggest heroes in trail running and the ultra are the ones that are in their 70s and 80s and they're still
mhm,
out there doing it.
yeah,
Yes, they're much slower than they used to be, and they have different goals and expectations now.
mhm,
But and mine are changing as well now too. I mean, I used to be able to compete at the highest level, and my focus was being on the podium. And now
mhm,
my focus is to win my age group.
uh,
And that's okay. We just have to know when it's time to back off a little bit, when it's time
uh,
to take a break, when it but it's uh, the studies have actually shown those that run and have run for a longer period of time, their knees are better off for those that are sedentary and aren't
yeah,
doing anything. So
yeah,
it's there's and then as I mentioned from in the very beginning of when I was starting here answering this question, is that our bodies are all a little different.
mhm,
So my husband's body is much better suited for cycling.
mm,
When he runs, it really beats him up. He's out for weeks afterwards, and it's just his just body shape is not
mhm,
it doesn't feel good for him. He does it, and he's actually quite good at it.
mhm,
It's just like we could both finish the same race, and the next day, like, okay, what are we doing next? Like, what other run are we doing? And he'd be like, his feet are up, and he's like, okay, and a month from now, I'll get back to the So it's everyone's body is going to be different in how it reacts, and you just got to find what's best for you and just be smart and
mhm.
just like in yoga practice, just listen to your body and what it's telling you.
Yeah, yeah. I love that I feel like the few points that you kind of summarized too, but it's like listening to your body where that I feel like where the yoga practice comes in, and being a long-time practitioner like yourself probably have developed such a maybe sensitive, you get to feel and really know your body. Oh, this feels a little iffy today, or this feels a little unstable, or how's my nervous system today? Like, I feel like really paying attention. And another one that you said that I want to take away is adding variety to the movement that you do on your day-to-day, week to week for like a healthy overall body.
Yeah. I also feel that I think some people neglect all the little things.
Mhm.
There's a lot of little things that add up to big things. The getting sleep, getting
Mhm.
good sleep, eating healthy, eating more of whole grains, fruits, vegetables. I've
Yeah.
actually been vegetarian since I was 15. I haven't
Um,
touched meat since then, and I mostly eat vegan, although I would call it more plant-based because I'm not strict in
mhm.
that because I'm not a black and white gal. I'm a little bit
Mhm.
there's always a nuance in between,
Yeah.
but I prefer to eat
Mhm.
all mostly plants.
Mhm.
And I think having that has helped me recover quicker.
Mhm.
But also sleep is a priority for mine. I'm in bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock every night.
Mhm.
That's extremely important. No cell phones in the bedroom.
Mhm.
We hardly watch TV here. It's
Mhm.
just like getting sunshine first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Those are all just all those little things. I don't drink any alcohol. I've never
Mhm.
liked alcohol.
Mm.
And it's actually interesting because a lot of podcasts now are talking about how there's just a lot of people are going dry, completely dry, and how it's not beneficial at all.
No.
When it was like, oh, you can have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But I just never liked the taste of it, and I never wanted to spend my money on it. And so now I'm like, well, I was way ahead of the curve.
Yeah. No, it's so true. I feel like it is definitely becoming like popular amongst young people now. Like stop drinking, and a lot more mocktails,
Yes,
alcoholic drinks are out there, and I feel like it's more socially accepted and more popular, I guess. It's not just people recovering in AA that's quit drinking,
right.
but a lot of people are just quitting, and even a lot of college students. So it's interesting, and it's really
It
cool to
is.
see.
It is interesting.
I want to ask, like, what motivates you? What is it that keeps you showing up to run this many years and these long distances? Like, what is your motivation, or what inspires you to continue running?
Am by nature deep down a very competitive person.
Mhm.
So that's one big part of it. I love to enter races or in that part of competition, but I also love to challenge myself and see if I can do one of my routes a little faster,
Mhm.
or get my wild repeat time down. There's that, but then there's just also I just feel more alive and more healthy and just happy if I get activity in every single day.
Yeah.
So and the running gets the endorphins going in me. I
Mhm.
can go for a walk and that's enjoyable, but
Mhm.
that doesn't satisfy my inner desire to push, just to
Mhm.
feel that exhaustion and the exertion
Mhm.
that I get from running. It's just there's nothing else can even compare. Even on my bike, I just can't get that same feeling. But I
Mhm.
know it's important to not run every day. Like for
Mhm.
instance, this morning I went for a bike ride because I
Mhm.
did 14 miles yesterday
Mhm.
um, on trail, and I was like, well, today's a bike ride day because we
Mhm.
always need a lower,
Mhm.
easier, relaxing day. So in those instances, I just try to really focus a little bit more on what's going on around me, feel the
Mhm.
breeze, look at the trees, watch the squirrels playing suicide in front of my bicycle. It's just but being out in nature is very, very important. So even if I'm not out there running, I'm out there hiking or going for a walk or on my bicycle, um, or even going outside and pulling weeds, but I have to get some type of outdoor activity all year round, every day because that fills my soul.
Mhm.
But it also it's just part of who I am.
Mhm.
And then doing those little things the workouts every day brings me closer to my goals, which is to still be a competitive woman in my 40s, when it comes to racing, because I love to get out there and push myself and challenge myself and see what I can do.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I guess maybe one last question before we wrap up is that your career in the fitness world, teaching different group classes, coaching runners, teaching yoga, and training for yourself too for ultra, which is quite a time consuming training, and having a family, children, like how do you balance it all?
Mhm.
And also throughout your maybe children's age, like how has that shifted or changed?
That's a very good question. So I'm very fortunate that I have a very supportive spouse.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we met running, so it's just it's part of his life too. And so
Yeah.
I support him immensely. Like, he'll head off for work on his bicycle, and he
Uh-huh.
rides to work on his bicycle, and so I'm in charge of everything that's going on in the morning before my now it's just my daughter at home before she heads off for school, but breakfast, making lunches, and getting them up, getting them out the door. So I have a lot of, but then I have a lot of free time in the middle of the day. So that's when
Uh-huh.
I get my workouts in.
Uh-huh.
When they were younger and they
Uh-huh.
weren't in school, I had a jog stroller. And
Uh-huh.
I will tell you, I was the fittest as I ever was when I was pushing that jog stroller around every morning.
Yeah.
My kids would take their naps in that jog stroller, and
Yeah.
I would push them around town for about 2 hours. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was tiring. It was hard, but we both benefited from it. They got
Yeah.
their nap. I got my run in. It was a win-win situation. And then when they went headed to school, then I ran on my own in the morning. And then some classes, I would teach classes in midday and the afternoon. So I just wove my
Uh-huh.
teaching around when I had to get my kids or bring them or pick them up from practices.
Yeah.
And then on weekends, we would go to races, and my
Uh-huh.
husband and I would compete. My mother would come with
Uh-huh.
us a lot of
Mhm.
times. So we were
Uh-huh.
very fortunate we had a village raising our kids. My mom was game to go on vacations with us. A lot of our vacations were destination races.
Yeah.
So that's what my kids remember. So we've been, to like Utah, Arizona, Hawaii.
Yeah.
That's what they were used to. And then as they got a little older, they were always like, "What? Why are we only always going on vacation for your races, Mom?" I said, "Well, you wouldn't go to these great places if my mom wasn't running." They got a lot out of it too. They got to volunteer at some really
Yeah.
cool races.
Yeah.
And then, and we met some great people through all that, and, now they're both cross-country runners as
Mhm.
well, and
Mhm.
track runners. So that's quite interesting to see how, our family has evolved, and I'm very fortunate for that, I know, because not everyone's kids do what their parents love to do.
Yeah.
And so that's been great. And so now, my son's off in college, so we miss him terribly.
Mhm.
But he's running on a cross country team at college, and
Wow.
he's loving it, and he's
Yeah.
thriving there. And my daughter is at the high school, and so that's it's my focus is just to make sure that she's getting what she needs, and I am taking care of the household,
Yeah.
um, and a lot of times, like, I just need to be around just to take care of all the little things here because, as you know, taking care of a house and then your kids and then all appointments
Yeah.
and then and then I love having part-time job. So
Mhm.
I mean, I'm glad that I can also I was also supported to go out and do what I love to do, which is coaching and training and teaching classes. But I was able to fit that in the middle of the day, which works the best for me because that's when everyone's at work or at school.
Mhm.
And I try not to slot work in the evenings because I like to be home with the family. I'm making dinner, and then we have a great family dinner around the table, and
Yeah.
that's important and very important to us.
Mhm.
I also do some volunteer work, actually quite a bit of volunteer work
Mhm.
on our town's land trust. I'm on the board there. I'm a race director for a cross country series in the summer. I do a lot of helping that way, and I always say, so this is really important. Like there's some mothers that work full
Mhm.
time and it's great. They're contributing to society that way. And then there's others that we all need, those moms that work part time or that or don't work at all, but they volunteer, because we need volunteers in this world as well.
Yeah.
Things would not happen if we didn't have volunteers.
Mhm.
So I love to give back that way.
Mhm.
It's, it's like, yeah, you'd like to get paid for things, but you also, as a volunteer, that those positions are needed to be filled as
Mhm.
well. And I'm happy to take up that because
Mhm.
I have such a supportive husband and parents,
Mhm.
and kid, and my own kids are supportive of me and doing what I'm doing.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. It has been such a great conversation. I feel like I feel much more inspired after speaking to you. And maybe let the listeners know how they can find you or how they can reach out to you if they want to.
Sure. My website is Debbie, Debbie, Livingston, Livingston. So you could look up myself on that website, but I'm also on Instagram it's at Trail Running Mom. You can find me there. And then Facebook, Deborah, DBORH, Schieffer, it's my old maiden name, Livingston. And you could also email me at deblivingston@mac.com. I'm happy to get emails, and I love answering questions. I'm happy to answer questions at any time. And sometimes people just send me some their thoughts and ask me to answer questions, and I'm happy to do that. Obviously, no cost there. If you think that you'd like to have a coach and you're not sure about that, you can talk and we can have a consultation and go over what that would look like and what it might cost, and then you can just decide from there. So it's just and if you just want to talk trail running and fitness, that's cool too, and yoga, I'm happy to do that.
Yes, thank you so much. I'll make sure to put all the links of what you shared on the show notes so people can find you easily. And thank you, Debbie, so much for your time and sharing about your passions and yoga and running and all that you do. So thank you so much. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed this conversation.
thank you for creating this podcast. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's conversation I had with Debbie. I was very inspired by her whole life. I mean, she ran more than 100 ultras in her life, and she is 50, still running, raising her kids, and teaching yoga and doing all the things. So that was so inspiring for me to hear. And I also loved what she said, that everyone's different and you just have to have a different variety of movement practices in your life to kind of keep it nice and balanced and also keep your body healthy. So that's something I'm taking away from this conversation, and also to keep moving and keep moving in a way that brings you joy and keep you moving and healthy. I think it's so important. So thank you, Debbie, for coming on and sharing about your journey. I really enjoyed our conversation. So before we go, I quickly want to remind you about the upcoming workshop with AJ. AJ is a physical therapist who used to be a full-time yoga teacher, and they are going to lead and teach us a workshop on hypermobility and how, as a yoga teacher, or if you're a student who might experience hypermobility in their body, what's the smart and intelligent and informed way we should think about our yoga practices for people with hypermobile bodies. And if you are a yoga teacher or a student, you know that there are a lot of people in the yoga world who are hypermobile, whether they are diagnosed or not. And AJ, who have a personal experience with hypermobility, they are hypermobile themselves. So with the PT knowledge, they're going to have so much amazing information to share with us so we can be the best teacher we can be for that population. So if you're interested in that workshop is happening November 8th, Saturday, 2 to 4 p.m. And I'll put the link on the show notes for you to go check it out and sign up and register if you want to join us in person or Zoom or watch recordings. and it is sliding scale $10 to $60. It's a very generous offer from AJ. So I hope you can make it. Otherwise, if you have any questions, always message me on Instagram at Reika Yoga or through my website, www.reikayoga.com. Both of these links will be on the show notes. And lastly, please like, share, subscribe, star, anything you can do in whatever platform you're listening to this podcast from. That's going to be very helpful. And the best way to help the podcast is to share this podcast with your friends or your yoga teacher or your yoga community, wherever you are. And that would mean so much to me. That is it from me this week. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll speak to you next week. Bye.